in this person who went into the house, in their eyes, they were going to be trapped in this mental prison of their own making until they figured this situation out or got to the bottom of whatever this was. Figured out, you know, was I lied to? Why did I understand this wrong? What about this wasn't I reading right? However, that being said, I'm not seeing anything that this person was intentionally led on or led to believe this. I think it's something in their own mind that was constructed in their own mind. Like they misread signs and then blamed the girls for them misreading the signs. It seems like they were putting themselves in a position to be able to approach help if they needed it while they planned how to get away from this person that now wasn't leaving them alone. Go immediately up to the 3rd floor. 7 of Pentacles. No. No. This person started on the 2nd floor. Three of Cups in reverse. Okay, so this person goes into the house thinking, I'm going to wake up whichever person it was that he wanted to wake up. And he heard something coming out of that room. Either the people were awake, or maybe they heard him and he heard them, hear him. Either they were awake or the intruder heard the couple hear the intruder break in or come in. But something messed up the original plans. That likely was immediate defensive wounds, because instead of the person walking in being like, hey, I'm here, can we talk? It was, hey, and then I'm covered in blood. You know what I mean? It changed the whole dynamic. So it's almost like the person got angrier because things had already gone so wrong and they didn't expect the other people downstairs to be awake. They expected everyone to be resting. They were using that cover of sleep. That's why it wasn't like right when the girls got home, but a little bit after. It was like the person was kind of lying in wait, almost waiting for enough time to pass for everyone to be asleep so that the person could just simply walk upstairs and go talk to whichever girl he was trying to talk to. But he heard a male's voice downstairs, and that set off a chain of events that made everything go way worse than the already bad that was being planned. I believe that it's something with the cell phones that the police have. Maybe not so much something at the crime scene that made them say crime of passion. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there is, but specifically, I believe there is probably text between the two girls, maybe even among the other roommates as well, but they found some kind of text message that makes them believe that this was a crime of passion. It's likely that the girls maybe even have maybe even were texting about the person that did this. I do feel like somebody out there has some kind of idea or knows something, but they're scared of this person. The Knight of Swords in reverse can be about like a bully or intimidation. So somebody might not know for sure. Like, I don't think that they were told, hey, by the way, I did this. But I think that, you know how like the girls I said, like, we're giving each other like those looks like, okay, like, it's time to get out of here. Well, I think that somebody, let's just say for an example, that whoever did this was sitting on a couch next to somebody else and this came on the news, and the other person like started to get a little questioning face, and then the person who did this kind of shot him a look like, you better shut the front door, you better be quiet and not say a word. There's like that silent intimidation. I don't think it was a conversation, hey, by the way, I did this, but I think it's like somebody has an idea, but they're very scared of what would happen if they came forward. Bloodline, cleanup, home, homicide. Bloodline, cleanup, home, homicide. So it's either a family member of the person or someone that they live with that has the idea, and or it could be because they saw this person cleaning something up. Somebody knows who this is. I really, they are still, I believe they, or at least up to a couple hours ago, I'm sure they still are, but they were still at the scene, taking pictures and gathering evidence. So there could be something useful still there that they're now processing that could help lead them to the person, which is a very promising sign. Cell phone records may provide important clues. I'm telling you, there's something in those text messages. There's something in those text messages between the girls that night that's pointing towards a crime of passion. In the future, the killer may admit guilt. That's a knife. So basically, they'll hopefully eventually get to this person and have enough damning evidence that they will kind of have to take some kind of plea bargain or admit guilt. Likely to, you know, lessen their sentence or the harshness of their sentence in some way, because this is a very gruesome crime, and if you can tie someone to this, I mean, that's very, very hefty sentence. So it does seem like there's something at the crime scene that's, whatever they find at the crime scene plus what the girls have said back and forth and whatever else is in the phone records, the person will kind of be backed into a corner. The Hangman in reverse. There's going to be a delay, though. There's going to be a little bit. It's not going to happen very quickly. It may even reach a little bit of a standstill where they might not be able to prove it enough to be comfortable to make an arrest, but they might be looking at a specific person. Page of Cups. So it's possible that this person right now thinks that because there has been a delay and because they haven't been arrested yet, that they might have think that they're getting away with it or have gotten away with it. And that might be part of the plan with the police. It might not. But they're going to find something in the evidence that compiled together with the text messages or whatever's in the phone records plus whatever is being found within the last 24 hours or so, those two things together are going to begin to point them towards the right person that did this. The first one is the current energy of the person who did this. It says, I won't cry for you. And it's like a girl on the card and she's like crying blood, and then in her hand there's like a giant droplet of blood. So it's almost like this person feels like, you know, they still feel like they were right because they got wronged, so they were just reacting. Obviously that's not the case, but that's how they feel. The energy of who did the person who did this, their energy before they came into contact with the girls that night. So the killer's energy before they ever came into contact with the girls that night. The thinker, the father of knowledge, instruction, reinvention. There it is. He was trying to get back out there, trying to not let the past happen again. Whatever pattern he was stuck in of getting rejected and failing, he was like, I'm not doing it anymore. It's going to be a totally different leaf. And then boom, it happened again. And because of that, he was so angry about that. He was in the middle of reinventing himself, and they kind of put a speed bump, so he doesn't feel bad. So what was the killer's energy as he was entering the house that night? Sacrifice. This is really dark energy. This person, like a ticking time bomb, like whenever it comes out for sure who did this, there's going to be people from that person's life that like that are going to say, I'm not all that surprised. I'm not all that surprised. Would I paint this person for a killer? Like, would this person just go randomly kill people on the street? No. But in a situation where this person was rejected, I'm not surprised that this person did this. That's what people are going to say eventually about this person when we figure out who it is. It's like a certain itch that when it needs to be, how can I say this? It's like a certain button that this person may not be a homicidal lunatic all the time, but this one button, if you push it, people are not going to be surprised that this is the outcome from this person. So he goes into the house thinking sacrifice. What is his energy in the first bedroom when he went in, and the couple in the second floor? What was the energy of the killer when he was in that room? Forgetting oneself. Nothing else mattered but rage. That trigger was pushed and that button was pushed. It was like a blackout rage. What was the energy when the killer went upstairs to the girls? Lady of Masks, the Shaper, reclamation, vanity, surface appearances. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying that the person believed that he was deceived by the girls. He thought that he was lied to and misled purposely for purpose of rejection, when in reality, it was for purpose of safety. Kaylee. The Fool, the Star, and the Page of Pentacles. I'm hearing like I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to go. It wasn't my time. I was not ready to go yet. It's not fair. It's almost like she was in some way preparing to step out of like the shadows and into like that true main character role in her forward progress. So, and at the same time, the Page of Pentacles here is about manifestation. So it's like Kaylee's energy is like, this isn't fair. I was about to really make those around me and myself proud in some way. Like I was putting hard work into something. It was about to pay off, or it was already paying off, but life was changing. She was embarking on a new chapter. She was ready to shine her light and give back to the world in some way. And it's almost like hearing like I was going to help. Like I was going to help. I was going to help. But like referring to like her light, like what she had to offer the world, it's like, it's almost like she's in a state of rightful anger, like at the whole situation, because she's like, I was going to make a positive difference in the world. How could this happen right now? Like out of all times, why would I be able to get so close to help healing the world in some way, and then this happens? Like, it's not fair. And she's looking at the situation in a way that she's trying to piece together why, like just why. Like she's so stuck on why. It's almost like she's continuously reviewing everything leading up to this happening to try and figure out like, why was this allowed to happen right now? Why was this allowed to happen at all, but especially right now? Like, it's almost like she believed in her intentions to spread light and love so deeply that she's like, this is not right. Like, this is not right. And rightfully so. But that is her energy. Okay, with this. Kaylee is more upset about the situation as a whole and it being allowed to happen and it going this way with good reason, while Madison is more mad at the people involved in the situation. And I'm feeling like it's not just the killer. I'm feeling like she feels let down. And I don't mean this to be harmful in any way. I'm just telling you what I see. It seems like Kaylee is more mentally like going back through the situation as a whole and being very upset and angry at the situation, whereas Madison is more focused on the people in the situation. So I do feel, while it is obviously the killer, she's obviously not happy with him, at the same time, there's a feeling here of the Seven of Swords is about betrayal. The Five of Swords is, it's almost painting a picture like, she's like, why didn't you guys look into the noise? Why didn't you, like, not like a deliberate betrayal, not like a setup of any sort, but it's almost like Madison is like, you guys heard something or you saw something. Like what? There's some layer of, she feels as though someone dropped the ball in some way. And it might not be the surviving roommates, or it might be, but like she feels Madison is more focused on the people in the situation, whereas Kaylee is more focused on just like the situation as a whole. I feel like there's more anger coming from Madison, while it's more shock and upset coming from Kaylee. I believe that the killer was focused on one person in particular. Either Madison or Kaylee. Okay, so the killer, let's do it this way. The killer's energy towards Madison, and then the killer's energy towards Kaylee. Do Madison first, and then Kaylee. Killer and Madison. 8 of Swords in reverse. Just about surrendering or releasing. And then Kaylee. The Wheel of Fortune upright. It's Kaylee. It's Kaylee that he was focused on, or that he wanted to get close to, but he felt like Madison was standing in the way of it. Surviving roommates, their current energy. The Emperor and 2 of Pentacles. They made a choice that they now regret. They wish they would have stepped up and done something. I'm feeling like and this is kind of what I was feeling before as well, but I feel like the surviving roommates heard something that night and either didn't think anything of it, A, B, could have thought it was the other roommates and just, but there's something about it that, like, let's say it was them thinking it was the other roommates getting home, but they actually heard something else. It's almost like the energy from Madison is like, you knew that wasn't us. If you would have just thought about it, that it was too soon. Like maybe they spoke to one another, like, and said, hey, I'll be home in 10 minutes. And then they heard a noise a minute later, something along those lines, for example. But it's like, and I'm not blaming them at all, okay? Obviously they did not, this isn't something that you just think is gonna happen, okay? But at the same time, there is an element of Madison feeling like she's been let down by the surviving roommates. And I think it's because they heard something. Hold on. 8 of Wands in reverse, yeah. Okay, so that's about a delay. So it's, I feel like the roommates and the, Madison and Kaylee and them, I feel like they spoke to the surviving roommates, but then the surviving roommates heard something and thought it was them, but like it couldn't have been them yet because they had, the time wouldn't have made sense. Like it's like, it's almost like Madison is saying like, it's not your fault, but if you would have thought about it for a second later, you would have recognized that that couldn't have been us because I told you when we were going to be home, or something along those lines. I want to see Madison's energy towards their surviving roommates. 9 of Wands. Yeah. The 9 of Wands is like having your faith tested, or kind of like, it can be about like a final push of some sort. So in this case, it's making me think like, if you just would have almost like Madison wishes that okay, so this is what I think, allegedly. I think that the girls spoke to the surviving roommates prior to getting home and said either where they were at currently or when they were going to be home. And then the other roommates heard a noise or heard something that was off. But like ignored it or didn't think enough about it to be like, oh, this can't be them because I just talked to them and they were there. So they couldn't be the one making the noise or something like that. It's either that or they heard the first attack of Ethan and Xana and didn't. Let me pull a card. Knight of Cups. No, I think they heard someone come in and didn't think enough about it. The Knight of Cups is like a slower moving knight. Like it's not like fast. So it's almost like, let's just say, for example, let's say that the remaining roommates got a Snapchat from Madison or Kaylee, and that Snapchat showed that they were, let's say, 10 minutes away at least. And then a minute later they heard a noise. But like it was like a snap, like it was something where it couldn't have been them making that noise because they had proof that they were somewhere else. But it's like they didn't think enough about it, or maybe they didn't look at the timestamp, maybe they, something like that. It wasn't like malicious, but it's like Madison's energy is kind of like, I'm a little let down, or like almost like if the situation was reversed, I would have double checked or something, or I would have given you a heads up, hey, I heard something. It's almost, you know what it is? It's Madison wishes that they would have texted her to see if that was her. Like, hey, I thought you were here. I heard, are you upstairs? It's almost like that, because then, oh. Five of Pentacles, the Lovers in reverse. Two of Cups in reverse. Okay, this is what I'm getting, allegedly. I believe that Madison and or Kaylee had a conversation with the surviving roommates about something going wrong, someone creeping them out, someone following them being uncomfortable, something along those lines. And it's almost like they were checking in to be like, hey, we'll be home around whatever, or hey, we're here, just so you know. It's like they reached out to the remaining roommates for like an extra layer of added protection in some way. And none of them could have known that this was going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want anyone to be blamed or anything like that, but I'm just trying to get to the bottom of the energy that I'm seeing. It's like that happened, and then they heard a noise that couldn't have been from the girls coming home because there wasn't enough time in between whatever that message or conversation was. It could have been Snapchat, it could have been on the phone, it could have been a phone call, something like that, but it couldn't have been the girls because there wasn't enough time in between when they had that communication with the girls and when they heard the noise. So while Kaylee's energy is very focused on how could this happen, Madison's looking at it from the perspective of, well, if they would have taken one more additional precautional step, this might not have happened. It's almost like it's almost like, I feel like Madison is like the kind of person who doesn't necessarily love being home by herself alone at night. So it's like from her mindset, she's almost like, if I would have heard a noise that didn't make sense, I would have at the very least reached out to be like, hey, are you home? Because I just heard this, or something along those lines. Okay. I want to pull one of these cards each for every pile, every person here. So we're gonna start with Ethan. The child I was meant to be. He feels like lost potential. Like he's like, man, I was gonna make something of my life. I was gonna be great, and it was like snuffed out for this senseless event, this senseless obsession. That's what I'm hearing. Senseless obsession. Senseless obsession. Madison's energy looking back now at the situation is like, I should have known. Maybe not I should have known. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have. You know what it feels like? It almost feels like part of the energy that she feels towards the surviving roommates is a bit of a projection of her own, like feeling like she let herself down in a way. They knew this person. They knew this person 100%, allegedly. It's as if she's like, there's no way that she could have known, but now looking back, she wishes she would have been a little bit more precautious or said something or something like that. I'm telling you, this person was after Kaylee. This person was after Kaylee, and Madison had either mentioned she was uncomfortable with the energy of this person or wishes that she would have. It's something along those lines. It's because Madison and Kaylee both give off that main character energy, but in this scenario, it does feel like this is directed at Kaylee, and Madison is almost like, I'm usually very careful. Why wasn't I more careful about this? Or, hold on. The Moon and Nine of Cups in reverse. Yeah, Madison feels like, I wish I would have said something, or I wish I would have said something more, done something more, but I didn't want to seem crazy. I didn't want to seem dramatic. But like I had a feeling that I wish I would have followed up on more. And in no way am I saying this is her fault. That's not it. But what I'm saying is, looking back now, hindsight is 2020, but looking back at the situation now, Madison is like, she feels like she could have stopped this, but she couldn't have. It's like, it's like she was so close to somehow putting them in a different position where she feels like this wouldn't have happened, but she's not realizing the type of person that we're dealing with in this killer, and that it was already too deep. But the Moon is like illusion. Like, I wish I would have seen this coming. Like, let's look at the killer's energy. The Exile, Forsaken Soldier, Strategy, Failure, and Trauma. And look at the picture. It's a guy wearing a mask, armor, and carrying a giant sword. Perchance to dream. He's holding a second sword in his hand here. So he's holding one up and then he's holding one down. To me, this is signaling confirmation that yes, he was going for the girls upstairs, but he also has the sword down. And then this one to me is almost like he got caught in this fantasy world. And he wasn't able to handle that falling apart. And it's almost like with this card, it's a weird energy. It's almost like in his mind, he's like, man, I didn't want to do this, but you left me no other choice. Couldn't go on with this any other way. Not that that's remorse, because it's not reading to me like remorse. It's not like I'm sorry for this, but it's like I had no other choice. I had no other choice. I'm a forsaken soldier. Can't deal with rejection. And then the surviving roommates. The thinker, the father of knowledge, instruction, and reinvention. Wish I would have thought about it more. Wish I would have thought into the noise. Wish I would have taken an extra step. I feel a lot of guilt here from them, but not really like there's no way that any of these kids could have put this together and stopped it. There's just not. Even if, for example, let's say the girls downstairs heard a noise, if they would have went up to try and check on what that noise was, I think they would have been in the same situation as the other four. Like, I don't think, like, obviously the information that we have now and that they have now, they realize, okay, I could have texted them. They could have gotten help. They could have done something, like, yeah. But in the situation, your mind would never jump to that because you're not thinking, oh, there's a psychopath in my house. Especially when your roommates are on their way home and you know they're on their way home and maybe you lost concept of time a little bit because you were out all night. So it's almost like, what's this card? Don, the Red Shepherd, just reward, evaluation, and respite. So he's holding something, but it's not a sword like the Killer's card. It's like a wand with like pokey parts on it, spikes on it. So it's like their energy is, I wish I would have thought more deeply into it. I wish I would have investigated. I wish I would have done something differently, but not realizing if they had done something differently, they would be in the same situation as the other four, because the person that they're dealing with was not just going to walk away and be like, oh, I'm caught, bye. It wasn't going to be that. It was going to be, he was going to stop them from reaching out to the other roommates before they were able to get home so they wouldn't stop his plan. So I want to pull a couple of these. Cards fell on the floor and I just want to see what they are. So it's 4 cards. Something's telling me these are going to represent the 4 roommates that passed. First one, Ethan. Lady of Masks, the Shaper, reclamation, vanity, surface appearances. So that's interesting because the first card, remember, he was the only one that had the 1 card come out and it was just referring to him. Now that we got through that, he's pointing towards the Killer's energy. This person presents a very different face to the world than this. Ethan knew this person. Yeah. Xana. Is this me? Question mark. Remember, how did I say it? It's almost like how I said that Ethan was kind of like, is this real? Is this really happening? Like still trying to accept what had happened, but Xana was kind of a little bit further along. It's almost like the is this me is kind of like, it's giving me the energy of like her in the moment, like almost like looking down at her body as she's kind of going away. Like I know that's kind of morbid to think about, but that's what I'm getting. It's like in that moment, she was like, wow, is this really, am I watching this happen? Like, is this, this is giving me the moment of like separation from her body. Hold on. I believe the killer came in, and as I said in the last reading, I think that he heard a male's voice, which is why he initially went into Ethan and Xana's room, knowing that either he could come up and stop him, or when he came back down, if he made noise, he would have to face him. So he wanted to catch him off guard because he felt like if there's a man in that room, he's the most likely to kind of be able to get control of the knife, or him, or fight back, or warn someone. He was more intimidated by that man's voice in the room. And again, not blaming this on Ethan. He has a man's voice because he's a man. That's all I'm saying. So he went in there and attacked Ethan. And Xana's energy is giving to me like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then trying to really quick do whatever she could to fight back, even though she didn't realize, like, either she had just woken up or she was just in shock, rightfully so. But it's almost like she had a minute, like, where like that feeling of fear caused like everything to kind of slow down, like super slow. I'm seeing it going like really slow, like almost like instead of my arm moving like this, it was going like that for her. Like everything slowed down. And I think that kind of relates to her being that higher evolved soul. She had that moment of almost like pausing everything, being like, what the heck? And then that was just a split moment, and then it unfroze, and then she had to fight back. But like she got a moment of like, oh crap, this is what is this really, am I awake? That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling she was like, am I awake? Like it was like a split second of like, she saw Ethan being attacked, and it was like that shock, and she was like, wait, I'm awake, right? Like I'm not sleeping. This isn't a bad dream. And then she tried to do everything she could to fight back. That's what I'm getting. So came in, went for Ethan. Xana tried to fight back, wasn't able to, went upstairs. Oh, I forgot the rest of these cards. Okay, so now we're to Kaylee. Colorless Angel. Wow, Xana. Now I want one from Kaylee and Madison. What do they want us to know? Forensic science field will provide important clues with fingerprints on the card. So it's going to take a while to process the crime scene, but they're saying that there should be something there that's worth using. Or not worth using, everything's going to be worth using, but like that's going to lead to something. I feel like this is direct because they basically just said, we're not going anywhere, you know, I'm gonna fight as hard as I can now. I think that they're literally gonna find fingerprints that are from the killer. Cool. Page of Cups in reverse. This is confirmation to me from Madison, because remember how I said she wishes she would have pushed a little further or looked into something a little more, and to no fault of her own. They did not know this was coming. No one could see this coming. But it's almost like she neglected her inner voice in some way. And now she is not doing that. She's going to be direct and as loud as she possibly can until this person's caught. The surviving roommates, I want one from them. Okay, so this is, it says killer may currently be in prison for another crime. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that the killer is in prison for another crime. What I do think is accurate from this card is see how there's someone in the window. I think we're ignoring the words here, and see how there's someone in the door or a window of some sort. How I said that they heard something. This to me is confirmation of that. It's like they heard a door open when the door wasn't supposed to be opening yet. Either they heard or they saw, but I'm feeling like they heard something. Okay. Let's say that this is the light and like allowing your soul to rest, essentially. When they say rest in peace, that's what this is, okay? So Xana, I see as like standing right there, like kind of not going all the way through yet because she doesn't want to leave her friends behind, and she also wants justice, but she's in a state of acceptance, so she's like right here at the door. Ethan is kind of like, if this is where you begin to pass over and this is where you rest. So Ethan is like right here. He wants to keep an eye on Xana. He wants to be able to see Xana still, but he doesn't want to leave his friends behind. So essentially, if there's a door here, he's like kind of holding it open so he doesn't leave his friends behind, but he doesn't lose sight of Xana either. And then the girls are kind of back here where they're like, I'm not moving until this person is caught so that they don't do this to anybody else. If you're going to snuff out our light, I'm at least going to make sure that you don't usher in more darkness after. Like how I said, it's kind of like a projection in a way, and not in a negative way, just in a reality way. How Madison is almost like, how can I say this without this sounding bad? I'm just gonna be very blunt. Madison wishes that the remaining surviving roommates would have taken an extra step or an extra precaution, just as she wishes that she would have taken an extra step or extra precaution with the killer. She wishes that when the killer was in the house and they heard something, that they would have taken an extra step and precaution. None of this would have changed anything. This is what was going to happen no matter what, because this killer was not going to just walk away from the situation. And if anything else would have changed, it would have been more people dead. I'm like as sure as I can be about that. If the surviving roommates would have stepped in and tried to change anything in this situation, they would be right here with everybody else. But that being said, especially with Kaylee's energy as well, but especially with Madison's energy, she's like, this isn't happening to anyone else. Nope. I will scream my lungs out from this side of the veil until the message is able to get put together in a way that leads to this person's arrest. Because we're not going to be able to rest. We're not going through that door, and we are not going to rest until this person is caught 3,000%, because they're not doing this to anybody else. And it's almost like it's like ironic in a way, because they were in school and they were, I think, about to graduate or something but it's almost like they're studying 24 hours a day, like in our time. I can feel like their energy is just trying to figure out, how can I use my abilities on this side to translate my message to that side so that this person gets arrested, because I'm not going to stop until they are, because this isn't happening to anyone else. And I think it's like, you know, I feel like Kaylee and Madison are like, this person, it's almost like a monster has been awakened in them. Like, it's almost like they're like, I couldn't see them doing this beforehand, that I could have ever seen this coming, but now that it's happened, I wouldn't be surprised if this person either commits more crimes to cover up this existing crime, or if the person gets in a similar situation where rejection happens, is this just going to happen again?
But this is my feeling. As I said in my reading, I believe that the killer was in the house before the girls got home, likely before the couple got home as well, and I don't think that he expected Ethan to be there. I say that because I believe that he was hiding in this closet right here. I believe he was hiding in the closet and expected Xana to go in that room, or whoever. Maybe he knew that this was Xana's room, maybe he didn't. I believe he did. I believe he expected Xana to just be in this room by herself, and hence falling asleep very quickly, and then him being able to leave this closet without a problem. But as I said in my reading, I believe he heard a male's voice, and that was kind of what created a problem here, because if Ethan and Xana are in this room and either they're not sleeping, or maybe they have the TV on and he can't tell if they're sleeping, maybe they were moving around, that's the closet and that's their bedroom door. So what I feel happened is that he was in this closet before they got home, not expecting Ethan to be with Xana. He was in this closet hearing the male's voice, and it was either Ethan and Xana heard something. What I'm seeing is him trying to leave this closet quietly, and then Ethan getting up and opening this door, and almost like Ethan opens the door and the killer's just kind of standing there, and he has no other choice but to attack. That's how Xana was able to fight back, because Ethan was at the door and he was attacked kind of like in more of like a standing up position, like a kind of like a blitz attack, like almost like let's say the killer's in this closet and tries to sneak out very carefully but makes some kind of noise by accident and can hear Ethan kind of jump out of bed. Like, that's the feeling I'm getting. And instead of trying to run or something, he kind of just stands there and blitz attacks him the second he opens the door, which puts Xana into like a kind of state of shock, like what the heck, and then gives her enough time to kind of fight back after he does that real quick and then heads over to her. Because it was like, yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm getting. Why did that just happen? I'm wondering if, I mean, that was a total accident that I made that line, but nothing happens for no reason. I wonder if he wasn't sure which bedroom they would be in. I don't know. I don't know exactly that part, but basically, I really feel strongly that the killer was in this closet and was only expecting Xana to be home on this floor. Maybe he wasn't sure which one she was in, but he was expecting it just to be Xana. And he was going to wait in this closet for after everyone got home and everyone seemed to be sleeping. But the fact that Ethan was in here, I really feel strongly, and I'm going to do a reading to confirm this again, like I said, but I feel strongly that he was in this closet waiting for everything to kind of go quiet. I feel like there wasn't anywhere for him to really hide upstairs that he felt comfortable with it. Because there's like a bathroom, a hallway, and then the closets upstairs are in the girls' bedrooms. So it's like he was hiding in this closet because it was the kind of like the best option. I feel like he wasn't in this house before, but looked up the floor plan or something along those lines. Somehow figured it out without firsthand experience, or perhaps was in the house before these people lived there, something along those lines. But I feel as though he was in this closet, and when he tried to get out of this closet, Ethan heard, jumped up, opened this door, and he was just standing there. I wouldn't be surprised if Ethan was right inside this door when he was found. And then Xana was in the bed. And that being said, I believe that the girls upstairs were in the same room as one another. I believe that they were not in this room with a deck. I believe that they were in this bedroom 3A over here, in Maddie's room. Because I feel like the phone calls, they made like 10 phone calls to the ex-boyfriend, and I feel like that's because they were very creeped out and scared. They might not have been expecting anyone to follow them per se, but one of the girls, at least one of the girls, had a bad feeling and wanted just someone to be there with them. So I feel like either they started calling when they heard something, or they were just, because some phone calls came from Kaylee's phone and some came from Madison's phone, so the ex. So I believe that they were in the same room as one another, and that's why he was able to, because like these two were in the same room as one another, and then so were these two. And this was like a blitz attack, and then dealing with someone who was in shock and kind of attacking someone who's in shock. So that's why there was probably some noise that freaked the girls out. I believe that the girls started the phone calls when this attack started happening. I believe they heard something, and they were calling in a frantic. And the calls stopped, not because they gave up, but the calls stopped because he made his way upstairs after these attacks. But I believe the catalyst here was him hiding in the closet, the killer hiding in the closet, trying to get out of the closet. When he tried to get out of the closet, Ethan heard, jumped up, blitz attack. Xana was in the bed, shock, tried to fight back with a little bit of time that she had. It was like attack, attack, and then run over to her. And the girls upstairs, I believe, heard some kind of commotion and started frantically calling someone, because they're like, well, if something's going on downstairs, I can't call the people downstairs for help. I got to call someone else. So they called. I can't, that something about that noise isn't right to him. And that's kind of why he was able to get all of them, because Ethan ran over to the door, opened the door, blitz attack. Then he's out of the way. Xana's in shock because she's like, what? Wait, what? What? He was just getting up to check a noise and now we're being attacked. So she fought back and made enough noise that the girls were like, what is that? Like, what is that? What is that? I can almost hear that. Like, what is that noise? What is that noise? Like, the girls were trying to place the noise, and then they just started freaking out. Like it was like they were uncomfortable or scared, but then when they started hearing the noise, they were like, there's no way this is really happening. Like, there's no way. It has to be something. But they were very scared. Like, they heard, and they were in the same, I'm telling you, allegedly, I believe that if we do find out where the bodies, like, were found, I believe that Ethan's body was found somewhere very close to right inside of this door. Xana was either in bed or had fallen off to one of the sides of her bed, like kind of on the floor in a defensive position. And then I believe that both girls are going to be in this bedroom 3A, in Maddie's room together. I guess there's a chance they could be in Kaylee's room, but I feel like it's more likely they were in this room and then wishing, like, oh, if we were in the other room, we could have went out on the deck, but they were like too scared to leave the room. So they kind of barricaded themselves in this room. Answering the phone, other person in that room, and then the two upstairs were already scared and barricaded in a place where they had no other way out, and trying to call somebody, that person's not answering the phone. And then by the time they realize, okay, this is really, someone's really in the house, it was too late because he was upstairs.
On a lead that did not pan out to be anything, but now they feel like they're on to something. They were gifted some kind of look at this, or they discovered it on their own, but the light is now on in a room that they were not previously looking at because they were too focused on something else. And that's what the holdup was initially. It's because they were trying to push some kind of theory or some kind of they were going down some avenue that was leading to a dead end, and they weren't listening to the warnings that that was leading them to a dead end. So now that they realized that is a dead end, they were more open-minded to focus on something else, and that helped them get lucky. What is getting them feeling like they got lucky? Something's telling me to use these cards for this one. Hold on. I'm gonna use the whole deck in minutes. Okay. Ritual, neighborhood, and witness. So I asked, what did the police stumble on or come into knowing of that made them feel like they're going to have a move to make soon? And we got, in order, we got ritual, neighborhood, witness. Okay, let's dig a little bit more into that with these cards. Knight of Swords and Seven of Swords reverse. Somebody saw something. Somebody saw something and is now coming forward. This person I want to know why this person didn't come forward at first, if this is somebody that saw something. Page of Swords in reverse. They were doubting themselves. So somebody saw something, but they weren't sure what they saw at first. But after some kind of information came out, then they realized what they had seen. And they called in some kind of a tip. That's why, like, in the beginning, when a lot of information wasn't coming out, that's why it took so long for this person to come forward, because it took a certain amount of information to be made available for this person to realize what they had seen and call it in. Yeah, the Seven of Swords is like guilty conscious kind of, and it's also like getting caught, like people. The girls, the Three of Swords in reverse is representing the girls. They were trying to not show their discomfort and trigger a worse situation. They were trying, the main imbalance, a one-sided debt. And it came out next to the Lovers in reverse. What these two cards are saying to me is that, how I said in the beginning, they were focusing on something else that led them down a dead end. It's like they're now focusing on a different person than they were in the beginning. And it's almost like in the beginning, it was like, yeah, why would we not focus on that? Why would we not look into that person? But then they realized it was actually a dead end. And now they're focused elsewhere. I wonder if they're looking into, I wonder how literal this is. Okay, so it could be that they're looking into a river as the place where the weapon was discarded. Or it could be everything is flowing more towards someone from the school when before it may not have been, at least in police's eyes. It's flow, whatever way. So either they were looking at someone from the school before and now it's not someone from the school, or vice versa, but it's flowing away from what they previously thought, and it has something to do with the weapon used. It seems like they were trying to push a theory that it was not targeted. And they were trying to push a theory that it may not have been as personal as it was. And I believe that that's because they were looking ahead and trying to not freak everybody out. And maybe that's kind of what got them stuck on whatever that dead end ended up being. Okay. I believe that the person that they are looking into the most has some kind of connection or power or authority, and they want to make sure that they have more than enough before they even burn that bridge in the first place. One that was chosen is obviously very telling. It says victim was stalked by killer. Now, I feel like this is very telling as well because it's one person. So it's also confirmation that I said, I believe there's just one main target. The stalking we already knew about, so this is nothing new. There's a ton out there. I will do a reading if and when someone is arrested, hopefully sooner rather than later. I do think they're onto something, but I don't think they're there yet. I think there's more T's to cross and more I's to dot before they'll be comfortable burning the bridge that's going to be burned when they name an official suspect. We're looking for someone with some kind of connection, power, money, authority, or blackmail. And that can be anyone. It really can. Oh, wow. Okay, so 10 of Wands is about too many burdens, or in this case, it could be too many people creeping them out, paying too much attention to them. They were noticing an overwhelming amount of attention on them that was burdensome. So essentially kind of goes in line with my previous readings where they were trying to have a good time together and things kept happening externally that kept pulling their attention away from being able to have a good time together. So they felt burdened, creeped out. But 10 of Wands is like someone carrying a bundle of wands. So this does go in line with more than one person were giving them some kind of problem that night. And then we have the 7 of Wands, which is about standing your ground. So about kind of being like, stop, no. So that kind of falls into a potential rejection, or if not an outright rejection, then just like a not interested, no thank you, keep it moving, we're just trying to hang out together, this isn't bye-bye. Very telling because it's about protecting like your territory. So I do feel like one of the girls was being protective over the other girl. I mean, not that they both weren't getting attention, but I do feel like I feel like Maddie was noticing something that she was uncomfortable with and was trying to keep that from interfering with them and their night. What else can we know? So, okay, so let's go off of multiple people were bothering them or multiple situations were causing them problems. And they were trying to protect themselves, their energy, their night, whatever. They were essentially saying, okay, no thank you, keep it moving. My son is home today, so if I have to pause it a bunch of times, that's why. So what else can we know? Hold on. Okay, so what came out before I paused it was the Empress. And 7 of Swords. So I would take this to mean as a confirmation of what I previously said, that Maddie was kind of looking out at what was going on with like a protective motherly energy. And then we have the 7 of Swords, which is what's sticking out to me about the 7 of Swords is like strategy. So like, how can we get out of this situation? How can we safely get out of this situation? I know that a lot of people were on my previous video when I said I feel like they were trying to be safe, did not agree with that because they were drunk. But I do not correlate being drunk with necessarily being unsafe and unaware, especially 2 girls in a college town
who go out and have a good time. This isn't something new to them. So they probably do have some protocols or at least some intuitive feelings that let them know this isn't the best environment. This isn't the best situation. You should probably leave. That's what I'm getting that was going on that night. Like there was some kind of intuitive impulse or intuitive energy that was letting, I'm feeling like it was Maddie, but it could be both, was letting them know this isn't really where you want to be right now. There's multiple things happening and it's kind of like a warning sign almost. Get out. But I do feel like one of them at least picked up on that energy, and that's kind of what got them to the food truck in the first place, is they were like, okay, this is too much. This isn't fun anymore. Bye. But at the same time, the Seven of Swords could also be like an outside energy of killer scheming right now. What can we know about the killer right now? King of Wands and Eight of Pentacles reversed. So he's having trouble focusing and is likely has pulled back from life in some way. Like, whereas in the beginning, I feel like he was just trying to go on like normal. Now he's having a little more trouble focusing. And that could be because of the widespread attention of this case, that he's like, oh crap, like they're not gonna let this go, which obviously they're not, but like the King of Wands is about being bold, is about taking control back. So it seems like in the beginning, right after the murders, I would say like in the week following, he was like, okay, cool, I got away with this. They obviously don't know it's me. I'm in the clear. But now that it's still ongoing, and I think especially because the police are being so tight-lipped, the killer's like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I need to somehow get control back of my life, but I'm having trouble focusing. I'm having trouble. My mind is just in, am I going to get caught or not? Does this change of energy have anything to do with recent information that has been released? Like, is that what's making him nervous? The World. So yeah, it's like the culmination of everything coming together now, that the killer's like, oh crap. Thought I got away with it, but what if they find something now? It's almost like I feel like the killer thought, if I can get away with this for a week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm in the clear. Especially because there was not a lot of information coming out at that time. But now all of a sudden, it's like this came out, that came out, this came out, and now the killer's like, oh no, like why didn't this come out earlier? Why am I getting closer to be caught now than it was in the beginning? What is the killer doing? What's he up to? The Knight of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So he's having trouble focusing, but he's trying to just continue putting effort into work or school or whatever his focus is right in life. He's trying to use that as like a mental escape almost. So like he's trying to ground himself into his current reality so that his mind isn't wandering, but it's back in the present moment, and that he's able to act normal. The High Priestess here is about, it's almost like he's like praying, like, please don't let this information lead to me. Please let something happen that makes this fall apart, because it seems like they're getting closer, but I don't obviously want that to happen. So it's almost like he's trying hard to ground himself by focusing on work or school, whatever, and at the same time is, ironically enough, like praying in whatever way he does, hoping, wishing, please don't let this information lead to me. I thought I got away with this. How is this turning into this now? He thought he got away with it. And now he's recognizing, you know, just because the police are tight-lipped doesn't mean they don't have anything, and they might be timing things for a reason. So it's now he's like, are they looking into me more than I believe they are, or more than I thought they were? That's kind of what I'm getting. One more. What is the killer? What is his plans for moving forward? The Hermit in reverse, isolation. He plans to just kind of lay low, pull back, not give anyone too much of an opportunity to see how he's handling this by just kind of secluding himself. And he could be saying something like, work's crazy right now, I gotta focus on work, I gotta focus on school, I gotta focus on, I don't know if they have finals right now, but something like that. Like, he's using something else as an excuse to why he's pulling back, but he's really pulling back to hide how he's handling this, how he's feeling, that he's freaking out. So this person would have been acting more like their normal selves in the first week to 2 weeks, whereas now they're slowly starting to pull back and isolate more than they were from the people who are close to them. What is the police, what is their focus right now? Their main focus, 3 of Cups. My last reading, I said this was the girls on the night out. They're focusing on what happened at that bar. King of Cups. And 9 of Cups in reverse. King of Cups in reverse, 9 of Cups in reverse. So they're focusing on whatever went down when the girls were out that night. Like, they're focusing on someone who is not necessarily happy in their own life, is unfulfilled, is not living up to their full potential. Essentially, the 9 of Cups here to me is like almost like a profile of the killer. So they're focusing on the girls being out that night and what could have potentially began while they were out. There's someone that is manipulative and emotionless. And then it's someone that's not happy with their own life. It's someone who is underachieving in some way. And it's someone who's like, how do I say this? Like arrogant, but without using words to be arrogant. Like arrogant in their demeanor, arrogant in their mindset, but like undercover arrogant. Like they don't just come out and be like, hey, I'm arrogant with their words, but like everything else they do shows their arrogance. I almost feel like this is a confirmation that Kaylee was the target. It's like Maddie was the one that was kind of looking out for the situation and being protective over Kaylee in this situation where they were out. She was like, hey, this guy's looking at you a little too hard. This guy's making me uncomfortable. Hey, I think this might be our time to go. I think it's time to go. And then I really do feel like Kaylee was the target. Okay, so Kaylee and Maddie and the hoodie guy were walking to or arrived at this food truck. What was the energy on the traveling from the bar to the food truck? Kaylee's energy, Maddie's energy, and the energy between them. 7 of Pentacles in reverse. 9 of Swords. So I said Kaylee, Maddie, Knight of Wands. So I said Kaylee, Maddie, energy between them. So Kaylee would be the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, which essentially is saying here, she was not realizing the danger of the situation that she was in. 7 of Pentacles in reverse is like lack of long-term vision. So she was like, how do I get out of this present moment? How do I get out of this awkward situation? But wasn't really thinking, okay, this person or this situation could take a bad turn. Then we have Maddie, which is the Knight of Wands, and that's like being courageous or kind of, let's go, time to go, let's get out, nope, time to go, let's go, bye, we're going. That's the energy I'm getting, like almost like she internally was like, possible danger, not like danger, need to like tell someone that we're unsafe, but danger enough that we feel uncomfortable, could possibly go a bad way, so let's be out. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which is about anxiety. So it's almost like on the way there, they both felt anxious, they both felt uneasy, but I don't believe that they were talking about it. And I think that Maddie was more in her head, like trying to play out everything. How can we get home safely and whatever, while Kaylee was a little bit more, I don't want to say not realizing the potential danger, but like, I don't know how else to say it. Which there's no way she could have known. There's no way that either of them could have known, but I just feel like Maddie's intuitive senses were a little bit more, hey, potential danger, let's just go. Let's be protective. Let's just put our foot down and let's go. So the Chariot's movement, that is the dog saying when the person came into the house, they delayed. So they did not come in and just start attacking. They came in and they hid. Especially because the Six of Wands in reverse is about like, upright, it's like a crowd of people. In reverse, it's like privacy. Like this person came in the house, delayed while hiding, waiting. The Tower reverse and the Eight of Swords reverse is saying to me that it's almost like the guy was not mean to the dog. The guy just kind of put the dog somewhere and then hid. I don't think that, how can I say this? So if someone breaks into a house to kill 4 people, which I don't think that was the original intention, I think it was 1, possibly 2, but ended up with 4. Let's say this person breaks into the house and they have to put this dog in a room. Essentially what I'm saying is, I think that the person was nice to the dog. I don't think that the person like kicked the dog into the room. I think the person like gave the dog something or just guided the dog into a room and shut the dog in a room. Because Tower reverse is like negligence. So it's like the dog was just kind of put somewhere and forgotten about while this event took place. The Eight of Swords in reverse. Look, one of the words on the cards is survivor. So it's like, it's almost like the dog knew right from the start that the dog nothing was going to happen to the dog, but then was locked in a room. That's what I'm getting, okay. And then the Magician is like, in this instance, I would say the Magician is the girls recognizing that this is somebody that they know, someone who had deceived them, someone who had not shown their true colors until now. Page of Cups is also like being naive. So it really is, it's like Kaylee was like, I could have never seen this coming. Like, it was like, I'm telling you, it's somebody that they knew and somebody that they did not expect. So, okay, I'll put it this way. It's somebody that they did not expect to do this, obviously. But it's somebody that once they saw who it was in the house, they were like, oh my gosh, I never could have guessed it, but now that this is happening, it doesn't surprise
surprise me. I don't know if I would use the word surprise, but it's like they never could have seen it coming, because who can see something like this coming? But it's like once they were face to face with that person, they were like, oh shit, I guess I was naive. I guess I should have, I don't know what else they could have done differently, because again, this isn't something that they were welcomed. Should I say it? I'm just gonna say it. I believe that the investigators were trying to see if there was a possibility that this was in any way related to drugs. I believe that people had maybe given them clues or hints that that might have something to do with it. And I believe that when these investigators were there, they were looking for anything to confirm or deny that theory through some kind of surveillance that they could possibly have on them. But they're waiting for the killer to, it's almost like they have some information, but they're waiting for that piece that's just like, will lead to a conviction for sure. In terms of Ethan and Xana, I can't believe that card came out with the money on it. I feel like this is Ethan and Xana saying that they plan on either not telling the whole truth or telling a falsehood in terms of whatever this offer is. So I would say that this is probably Ethan and Xana saying take whatever they say with a grain of salt, because it may not be entirely accurate, but more so to protect themselves. Not saying they did anything wrong. I'm just saying, I feel like there's somewhere along the line a ball was dropped in royalty. Someone's protecting them, protecting their story, or protecting them from something. Pull another card about that. What else can we know about road and royalty? King of Pentacles in reverse. Corruption. Exploitation. Greed. Okay, listen, I'm not trying to sit here and talk crap about anybody. I'm just saying that what I feel is that there might be some kind of financial gain coming to the roommates from talking, since they've kind of been so quiet. And I just think that everything that comes out is not going to be entirely accurate. Maybe not the exact truth, or maybe not the whole truth. And it's likely that they're either being protected or guided on what to say and not say to help them avoid having more fingers pointed at them or suspicion placed on them. Kaylee, what is Kaylee's dad trying to say without outright saying it? The World upright. Two of Pentacles in reverse. He thinks that they're disorganized and that they're not committed to actually finding the truth, but they're committed to just getting out of this or ending it as soon as possible. He thinks that they are struggling to juggle all of the information versus all of the tips, and he doesn't think that they're putting out enough So the Two of Pentacles is like, in reverse, is like not committing to something. So it's almost like, and the World is like completion. So it's almost like her dad is saying, we know that you know who did this. Why are you not moving forward to close this case? We understand there's a lot of evidence and that can be overwhelming, but you have the evidence that you need that can help you close this. Why are you not doing it? be wrong. But I feel like they were very focused on someone that led to a dead end. And then once they reached that dead end, they were like, oh, putting out a reward now is just going to make us look bad. Was there talks about the reward, and how did those talks go? The Moon. Eight of Swords in reverse. I would say there was secret talks about a reward, but it was kind of more like hush-hush. It's almost like the reward was looked at in a way that's like, we have this entire house, like it's not a room that's a crime scene. This entire second and third floor are crime scenes. We should be able to figure this out. We should have enough information. The Moon is also like secrets though, and like hidden information, hidden. So I do think that the police were keeping a lot close to the chest even in the beginning. But again, I feel like what they were keeping close to the chest was what led them to a dead end. So I just think that too much time had passed to where when they reached that dead end and or realized that it was a dead end, that they were like, oh, putting out a reward now is going to make us look like we don't know what we're doing. But like, do they? Do they know what they're doing? I don't know. Time will tell. Is there going to be an arrest within the next month? Hold on. Okay. In the next month, I got the Empress and the Four of Wands. Is there going to be an arrest in the next month? This is tricky. So the Empress in this case would be about birthing something, bringing something to life. And then the Four of Wands is like homecoming, gathering, unity. Pull one more card. Four of Swords, rest and relaxation. A month from now would be the middle of January. I would say that I feel like there will be an arrest by the middle of January. So the Four of Wands is like celebration. In this case, homecoming could be the ability of the students to go back to the campus because someone has been arrested. The Empress is like bringing birthing in this case, someone to arrest. I just sneezed. Excuse me. And then the Four of Swords is like rest and being able to kind of just take a breath. Peace in a way. I am feeling like by the middle of January, there will be an arrest. My next question is a very important one. Are they going to arrest the right person? Page of Swords. Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So the Page of Swords is like a messenger communication. So I feel like someone's going to talk. So maybe it's that person that they're waiting for that I previously said, or maybe it's a tip that comes in. Some kind of communication is going to stir up them looking at a specific person if they're not already. But I asked if they're going to arrest the right person, and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse makes me a little worried here. Because it's like impatience, giving up too soon, lack of long-term vision. Interesting. The page is also like
wanting knowledge, being thirsty for knowledge. Queen of Wands in reverse. I would say this. I would say that I believe by the middle of January, there's going to be an arrest, or at the very least, a named suspect. But I don't really see how they would name a suspect without having an arrest after this much time. So more than likely an arrest. I do feel like this arrest is going to come through some kind of tip, interview, interrogation, something like that. I'm getting big female energy here. We have the Empress, the Page of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. And even the Four of Swords has a woman on it in this deck. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles, which is upside down. I feel like there's a woman that's going to come forward with information that leads to something. The Queen of Wands makes me feel like this person's going to come forward for some kind of more of like a selfish reason. So either they don't want to get in trouble, or maybe they slipped and said something to someone who's like, if you don't say something, I'm going to. Or it could be like some kind of interrogation or pressure put upon her. But I feel like there's going to be some kind of drama, for lack of a better word, that involves a woman that gives information or turns on someone. This might not be, so this Seven of Pentacles, it might not be that this woman gives information on the killer directly, like, hey, this is who did it, this is the proof. It may be like, hey, so-and-so knows something, but hasn't come forward. And if you talk to them, they might lead you to the person who did this. I don't know, as in the woman saying, I don't know, but I know they know, and they haven't come forward. That's kind of what I'm 22nd. So that would be, okay, so that would be the 22nd of December. The 9th and the 13th are both kind of in the middle of the month for January. So the 22nd of December, the 9th, 13th, or 22nd of January. So December 22nd or January 9, 13, or 22. Will those dates have any significance? Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. There's going to be progress, major progress on one of those dates. Major progress on one of those dates. So December 22nd or January 9th, 13th, or 22nd. Those are the dates that we're looking. I would say give or take a day from each of them. So 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 21, 22, 23 in December and January. Those are the dates that we're looking for progress or an arrest. Or those could be the dates when this woman comes forward and then we find out later or something along those lines. But there's going to be some major progress made by or before January 23rd. So Kaylee, contamination of DNA evidence may be influencing this case. And from Maddie. Illegal activities played a role. Killer had some kind of drugs in his system when he committed these crimes. One from Xana and one from Ethan, and then we are all done with this reading. I know this one is really long. Sorry, guys. I wanted to make sure I got everything. Thank you, Xana. Killer profile indicates narcissist or sociopath. Girl, we know. We know.
Look at the picture. It's almost like a little version and then the big devil version. It's almost like this person makes themselves seem, oh, he could never do that. But like in reality, he has all this power in his own mind. And Ethan. Ooh, that just gave me the chills. Important details are not being revealed to the public at this time. And in the distance, I could see 3 figures that looked like men. Could be wrong, but I was getting the those are men feeling. It was like a paddle boat, but it had a really strong engine. And I know that because when it left, it like they like revved up the engine, and it was like the engine for a much bigger boat, I guess you could say. It wasn't like a tiny paddle boat like helper engine. It was like a speedboat, big speedboat engine on this little paddle boat. So anyway, they started throwing, I don't know what it was. It looked like paper to the left and then sped off to the right. Like it was like almost as if implying distraction, 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 and then the real way they went was the other way. However, first, what I'm going to do is reenact this dream with tarot cards. I'm going to put the 2 rows of 10 cards down. I'm going to do it on video, obviously. I'm going to put the 2 rows of 10 cards down, see what picture that paints. Then I'm going to put the extra 2, extra 2, extra 2, see what that paints, and then we're going to go from there. As I said, I am going to address all the questions and points that you guys have made, but for some reason, I feel like this dream came now because it's like, do this first because it's going to help everything else make sense. So if you did not watch my last video that says Idaho for the dream I had, you're going to need to watch that one. It's only 15 minutes before this one, so that this one makes sense. Usually when I have dreams like that, they're kind of sandwiched between 2 things, and that's how I it's like a confirmation for me. It's usually sandwiched between something in my life previously that happened in a similar way to how it happened in the dream, and then afterwards there's usually some kind of physical real-time proof relating to what I felt from the dream. The previous thing that I mentioned in the last video was how I said the trash truck passed my house and then came back, and then the limo passed the house and then came back in the dream. I'm still like in shock. So I'm cleaning out my son's lunchbox this morning, and I took all the food and stuff out when he came home yesterday, but in the morning I like dump it in the trash and make all the crumbs and stuff come out, and something fell out of it that he had made in school, and it's this, and I don't know if you can tell, but it says power on it. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we get in the car, and while we're waiting for the bus, my son is playing this song on repeat, which he does often with other songs, but I looked over and I happened to notice the cover album of the song that he was playing. So the song is Only Human by the Jonas Brothers. And I saw a very like small copy of the picture, and I was like, that's interesting. I was planning on looking at it after he got out of the car to look at the cover album a little bit more. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the words of the song. I don't want this night to end. It's closing time, so leave with me. You've got all my love to spend. Let's find a place where happiness begins. We gone, dance in my living room. Slave to the way you move. Hurts when I'm leaving you. Love with an attitude. So why would you fight or try to deny the way that you feel? Oh, babe, you can't fool me. Your body's got other plans. Stop pretending you're shy. Just come on and dance, dance, dance. So you'll imagine what is going on after this and then that. So then I come inside and I look at the cover album. And in my previous video, in my dream, I mentioned that I was looking at 3 figures, which appeared to be men in a paddle boat out in the water. And this is the cover album. So, we're going to dive into this and see what it means. As I said, I'm going to do the spread that I feel I was being shown in the dream in a reading as soon as I can. But obviously I had to come back on and share this because I definitely feel like I'm being pushed towards something and about to be shown something. So yeah, again, the power necklace, the cover album, and again, the song that was playing is Only Human by the Jonas Brothers, if you'd like to listen.